Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Yesterday we watched part 1 through part 8 of Kendra's of Kendra sharing I was in love with my psychiatrist and he kept me anyway. So we're just gonna continue on and yeah.
Hi, I need to say something
Hi
really
Kendra.
important. And that's that it seems as though many people view what I'm going through as a crash out. What I'm
I'm
doing
still trying
as
to
a
figure
mental
it
health
out
spiral.
because I'm not sure
And of
what
course
I
it
think
seems like
now.
that. I get it. It's an extremely dark
I
thing
will
to
say, and I said this in the last video I put up, that there are people that I know personally who have taken medication. I don't know about the ADD meds, but the meds for the ADHD, who have been taking it for like a decade or longer. One person, like for 20 years or more, I feel like. And they have literally spiraled into a state of delusion that I think is even a lot worse than what this person is displaying here, but I guess it's a matter of opinion, if
talk about
that's what's going on.
all of this
But go ahead, Kendra.
that I went through.
Because if that is the case, I do feel like this is possible for this person. Like, this could be what's going on with Kendra. She was taking certain meds for a long time, and which she says in the beginning that she was diagnosed with ADD and took meds for that. I don't know for how long, and again, I don't know about those meds, but
And I am sharing my story because it wasn't out there. No one else has shared a story
and
like
that
this.
if that is the case, I hope this opens a door for conversation, education, and research about the long-term effects of certain medications. I'm not saying that happens to all people that, are taking those meds, but I've seen it happen to people.
But I know that it happens a lot because people are in my DMs telling me.
And I'm also not saying that again, I wish I could get the side of the psychiatrist, because there may have been certain inappropriate things going on. As a matter of fact, I even had a thought that there could have been something actually really inappropriate going on between them, and this person, Kendra, is now like vengeful in respect, like wants to destroy this person's reputation. All right, and wanted to dox them. I don't know if they're that conniving. Like, I literally have like 3 different theories about what could be going on here.
That the same thing that I went through, they went through too. I am now in TikTok jail.
I don't know what that
I got a
means.
violation on the video
I don't
where
know what that means. If you, I do have a TikTok, but I don't know what it means if you get violated. Maybe I'll Google it. Like, if your video has a violation, does it get pulled down? I don't know what that means.
I talked about really the biggest damning evidence against my psychiatrist. And so because of that, I have to be really careful. So I'm going to do my very best to not be reactive and to share my story from a place of generosity, because the people in my DMs telling me that they've been through this too,
And I do believe there's
it's
a lot
keeping me
of
going.
people that,
It's not my mental health spiral. And I can
and there are
understand.
people that are taken advantage of, and there are horrible things that happen in all fields. So maybe this will open, the floor for discussion. Maybe it will help people that have dealt with things and didn't feel they could share it. But I don't, I just don't personally believe from part 1 through 8, just everything I've heard, in my opinion, there's something fishy happening here, okay?
That for some people in the mental health space, because they have been some of the loudest people to speak out against what I'm doing, it's hard to grasp that someone could have this level of predation in such a high place of power.
The only reason I came up and watched I like saw all these channels were reacting or doing like videos about this, and I literally didn't watch one of them. Usually I would, but I was like, let me just go check it out. And I started watching part 1, and I said, oh, let me react to it, right? Because, like, and I understand why so many people now are making videos.
So just in case my video doesn't get put back up, when everything changed was when my 75-year-old therapist, I went to her with intimate details, and she suggested I go to my psychiatrist with.
Okay. We already saw in part 6 or something her talk about this. So that must have been the video that was, I guess, taken down. But it was put back up because we watched it.
Them. And I felt so excited and nervous to share that with him because I had such a big crush on him at the time. And I recorded all 33 minutes. So this is why.
Which is weird in itself, but that made me feel like she might be more conniving than crazy. Because if she was delusional in a way where she actually did believe this person, or there was something going on, and she's doing this now just because she wants to ruin this person for personal reasons. Because she's been seeing this person for a while, has said from the get that she had a crush on them, blah, blah, blah. You were there, you heard it, I'm assuming. And she felt like he was inappropriate many times from what I already watched. So wouldn't she say, like, oh, he's inappropriate, I'm going to record him, you know, in general, or something? Like, if you even thought to record the person to begin with. But this is the only session that she talks about ever recording. And it's the one where she talks about how she basically, the way she described it in the other video that she said was taken down, but it was obviously put back up. From my memory, the way she described it, it was like super detailed, like described in a way like I'm talking dirty to you.
If my psychiatrist wants to come with me.
I've talked to my psychiatrist or therapist in the past about my encounters and da-da-da. And I didn't sit and describe it in detail like it was dirty talk. I'm telling them what happened because, well, I have my reasons. It happened
to me, and like,
it's not uncommon.
Sue me for defamation. I have a 33-minute recording of me admitting I have a crush on him and speaking about extremely intimate details. It was in that moment that he really should have transferred my care.
From what you described, though, in all the videos leading up to this, you felt like he should have already, been like, this is inappropriate, Kendra.
But this was that moment changed everything for him too, because that's when things really started getting deep between us. And this is where the story is going to go from now. It's going to be a good story. And I'm going to try to tell it all today, just in case one of my videos does get banned so people can hear it.
The way she words things also, I'm still on the fence about, because I've been seeing comments of a lot of people reacting to this person, and it's like, she's delusional, but I'm still, you know what? I'm still on the fence about if it's a delusion or if this person is more conniving than you're giving them credit for.
But just know, if you're concerned for my mental health, thank you. I am very good. More than good, actually.
Okay, Kendra.
And I am actually a coach for ADHDers. It says it in my bio. And
okay, so she's a coach, like a life coach. Do you need to get some sort of licensing for that? I'm being serious. I don't really know what that's about, being a life coach. But that's all right. Continue.
I help people work through self-limiting beliefs. I help people work through numbing with alcohol and cannabis, because these are the things that so many of us do to avoid our truths.
So I'm assuming that when she talked about in the earlier video, or video part 1, I believe, about being in recovery and being, at that time of the story, 6 months sober, that some of her issues might have been connected to what she just mentioned, the cannabis and...
And this is my truth and what I went through. Hi, I need to say something really...
Okay, let's go to part 10.
So this is when the chemistry really started going off the charts with me and my psychiatrist. And I held
Yeah, alright, go ahead.
it alone for months, like after that Christmas morning appointment of his. And then after I innocently told...
That's the first time I heard her say a Christmas appointment. Like, she adds, like, details that weren't there in the past when she retells whatever story. Like,
him about
whatever
my date with the therapist.
incident.
He really started letting me in more and showing more parts of himself and, turning up the intimacy. And that was exciting to me. And it made me fall for him more. And I noticed that he was working in an office, and I asked him, this was like July.
Because from the beginning and up to this point, you've only had sessions with this person on video.
I asked him, I said, hey, are you working from home? Because I was under the assumption that he was only doing telehealth. Okay. And he said, no, I come into the office. I was like, oh, why do you do that? If you see all of your patients telehealth? He's like, oh, I like it that way. And even though I could kind of tell he was lying, I just gaslit myself. I was like, okay, it's fine. And then I start emailing him my fun little emails, but he stops writing me back. He does not write back to my email.
I feel like I might be misremembering, but I feel like when she talked about emailing this person in the past, I don't feel like they answered back then either. She was sending heart emojis and such.
Emails anymore.
Or that was her.
Because once again, he was really good at plausible deniability. But what he did do is he would take my emails and mention them in session. So he would still give me the attention that I was...
he saying, stop emailing me?
Craving, but only under his structure, under his control, where there was no paper trail. And I loved that too. So I would show up to these sessions.
It's getting like baby reindeer.
My notes app.
Total baby reindeer vibes.
And just throughout the month, as I was thinking about him, I'd write down things that I wanted to talk to him about, and I would just come and bring him lots of content. And then every week I would go to my therapist.
When she says content, she referring to like sexy talk.
And tell her about how much I loved my psychiatrist. And she didn't help me at all. She just kind of like...
Yeah, but a lot of people do say, I love my psychiatrist. I love my therapist. I love my doctor. I love my vet. It's different when you say, I love them. Or like, I'm in love with them. I'm in love with them. I got these tortoiseshell glasses because they said they liked tortoiseshell glasses. I'm in love with them.
Enjoyed hearing about it, honestly. So October 2024 rolls around and we're just vibing on Zoom. And then I realized that I didn't have my next appointment with him. So I called his office staff. And I talked to the office manager, who was awesome. We really got along. We vibed. And the office manager asked me, do you see him, the psychiatrist, in person or on Zoom? And I felt so angry in that moment.
That's kind of weird, though, if they're the office manager, why? And you're saying they said, do you see Dr. So-and-so on Zoom or in the office? You're saying he's in an office. This person is the office manager. You have a cool vibe with them. Wouldn't they already know? It seems more to me that you were calling the office manager, if this story is real at all, if there is an office manager, and that you straight out asked, like, does the doctor see inpatient? because they would already know that you never come in unless they're only there like 1 day a week or something.
It's like, he sees people in person? And she said, yeah, he has been for years. I was like, I want to see him in person. And I understand, like, some people may think that this is part of my crash out. Or
now, if what she's saying is true, then that makes me feel like she is deep spiral, like very delusional. And not the other things. Like she might be actually delusional.
Me harassing him, which is what I've gotten.
Because the office manager would know that this person never came in, and she created like a whole friendship with the office manager in her mind, and all right.
Lots of accusations of, but I just would like to remind everyone that of course it seems that way. But I was just responding to a dynamic which my psychiatrist fostered. There was chemistry between us because he allowed it. And so then the next time I saw him in Zoom, I told him, I was like, hey, your office manager outed you and told me that you see people in person. Why didn't you tell me that when I asked?
Or it was a new employee, all right, who didn't know the history of this patient and slipped up, all right?
And he said, oh, I just didn't think you'd want to come.
Because if the psychiatrist, and I do believe, like, I still don't know if maybe something did happen, okay? But if it didn't, and he was professional, he obviously recognized that this person had a crush on him and blah, 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 and I talked about that in the last React, whatever. And believe me, if that was the case, the office manager or whoever would take calls knew about Kendra, okay?
And that was such a weak lie from him, from someone who is so scripted and controlled. He didn't even have a plausible thing to say. Of course he knew I wanted to come in. I had a crush on him. I told him that.
All right, so if that is true, then right there you should get like, all right, this person doesn't want to see me in person because they know that I have a crush on them, and it's gonna...
So then... in my next
like, are you delusional or are you conniving?
Appointment after finding out that he was lying to me about seeing patients in person, I told her that. I told my 75-year-old PhD therapist that my psychiatrist lied to me about seeing people in person. And she looked at me and she said, well, it's probably because he knows that there will be a lot of sexual tension in the room if you go in person. So make sure that
if she did say that, did she say, Kendra, there's going to be a lot of tension because of how you've expressed that you have a crush on them and find them attractive?
You understand that when you go. And you better believe I showed up to the next session and said you lied to me because you were afraid of the tension that would be there between us.
Super baby reindeer vibes.
He just didn't say anything.
I wonder if she
saw. So this is when the chemistry really started going off the charts with me.
All right, part
October
11.
2024.
I wonder if she watched Baby Reindeer and got some ideas from that.
I make my first in-person appointment with my psychiatrist in November. My 75-year-old female therapist tells me that it's because he kept me on Zoom because he was so attracted to me. He didn't want to risk being in person with me.
I don't remember her saying in the last video we just saw that the therapist said, yeah, it's because he's so attracted to you. That's not how you worded it.
Which further fed my crush. Or as some of you like to say...
To me, it was worded like, you've already expressed to me, your therapist, that you are attracted to this doctor, and so seeing them in person might not be a good idea for you because the tension that is going to be on your end. So then my therapist
starts texting me in between our weekly meetings, asking me for advice on her other clients.
Now that, I don't believe. Now, she did say that at this point, now she's coaching, life coaching, so...
And I was a new coach.
I would like to see receipts to that because it almost makes me feel like you would be texting this therapist trying to get advice about certain things, maybe relating to this, you're saying, being a new coach.
I'd only been coaching for about a year, and I had just left my full-time job to be a coach full-time. And I was flattered.
I would like to know what that last job was. I mean, I'm not trying to, like, dox anyone, but I'm just curious. And if she actually left it because she wanted to.
She would ask me advice on her other clients. I just thought, oh my gosh, a 75-year-old woman with a PhD wants my advice
I don't know
on what she should do with her clients.
Man, I would love to hear from this therapist.
So then November rolls around, and I'm about to meet my psychiatrist in person for the first time. So I wear a really pretty dress, I do my makeup, of course, right? And I show up, and I get to talk to the office manager. We're having
your
fun.
best friend, the office manager, right?
And then my psychiatrist comes into the foyer, and I am just so excited to finally meet him. I'd been his patient for 3 years at this point.
3 years.
And he had been feeding the dynamic for 3 years. And I was just thrilled.
So for 3 years, he was in an office, and he could have seen you in person. Because you did say when you did your first initial Google search, you were looking for a psychiatrist in your area.
To meet him, and I ran up and I gave him the biggest hug. And you know what he did?
Oh my gosh, I need to know. What did he do?
Barely patted me on the back. It was the most awkward thing ever.
So not only... All right, the body language, Kendra.
But I am so glad that he did that. I am really glad, because this is what I mean. My psychiatrist...
All right, so she understands that by doing that, a little pat on the back, he wasn't like embracing you in a way of a person that is in love.
Many things, but he was not stupid. So I didn't ever touch him again. And I'm grateful that our relationship didn't ever cross that line, because
all right, I thought this was good. All right, go ahead, Kendra.
Made everything so much harder. Anyway, so we go inside his office.
You know, and her saying that, oh man, I'm torn about this. I might do a tarot reading on it just for the shits and giggles to see what comes out, because part of me feels like she did have some sort of inappropriate relationship with this person that they reciprocated possibly, and that she thought it was going to go somewhere, like they were going to be together, like in life, but maybe, something might have actually gone on, just the way she's wording things. Because why the only session that they say they recorded is the one where she says she basically was talking dirty, like, talking dirty to this person about da-da-da. It makes me, I don't know, there's just a part of me that feels like there could have been something actually inappropriate between them, and because the relationship didn't go where she wanted it to, now she's creating this story.
I tell him just to dox that them and my therapist
shitty for them,
had texted me asking me for advice.
Because I do feel like she doxed this doctor in a sock account or something
on her other clients.
Because he was doxed.
Just looked at me and he said, Kendra, that is a huge boundary violation. She should not be doing that. And I was like, oh, okay. And because once again, my psychiatrist did not like sloppy people. He did not like sloppy people. And you know what my therapist did? She got sloppy. Yeah. Using me as her advisor.
Yeah, I don't know about all that. I would love to see these messages. Like, block out the doctor's name. Show us. Did they exist? Was
her clients?
Because
it got weird, and I was very grateful for my psychiatrist for pointing out that boundary violation, because that was the thing. He didn't ever message me in between appointments because he was too smart to do that. But did he ever stop me from disclosing extremely intimate details? No. In my first in-person appointment, I just asked him for some pointers for my own ADHD business.
I mean, I said in the last video, sharing certain detail. I mean, not sitting there and talking and discussing it or describing it in a way like you're doing the 1-900 call, but it is normal to share certain things about what's going on in your relationship and with a therapist and psychiatrist. And like I said in my last video, especially if this person started this whole thing by saying they had daddy issues, traumatic childhood, whatever things, like, yeah, it's normal to share in general what's going on in your relationship. and how you are physically in a relationship, because it says a lot about, like, you know, how we repeat cycles. That's a normal thing of
And
therapy, in my
he's so
opinion. So
smart and
that in
so
itself
wonderful,
doesn't make me
and
go, oh,
in
that
many
was
ways,
inappropriate on
honestly.
his end
And I
or
was
her
just so
end,
grateful that
as a
he
therapist or
was almost
psychiatrist.
like a mentor to me in these moments, and I'll
Yeah, a
still
lot of
treasure
time,
that
there's a
about him.
lot of things. All right, so she just said he was like a mentor. She's going to treasure that still to this day. Sometimes
In
when
many
she's
ways,
talking,
honestly. And I was just so
now this could
grateful
be part
that
of the delusion of her having a relationship with this person, but it's like the delusion didn't go so deep that, and it didn't pass the, like, there was a line drawn. She's saying it never. She saw this person in public, like saw them, gave them a hug, and he patted her, and it never got physical, and she never touched him again. Because I thought it was gonna. All right, go ahead. I don't know. I don't know.
he was almost like a mentor to me in these moments, and I'll still treasure that about him, because this is the
And then just saying too, what she just said. It's like, is this person uh, someone that manipulates patients to the point that it's almost like she's talking in a way like she was MK Ultra. All right, I'm still on the fence about if she's actually delusional. Just because I've seen people, like I mentioned before. All right.
thing with sophisticated predators is
Maybe.
that they're not all bad. Like, my psychiatrist helped me with many things, but he was using me for the whole time that I was his patient. And for that, I will never forgive him. October 2024,
All right. See, just the way
We have
she
our first
worded that.
in-person appointment in November of 2024, and I did ask him for consent to come in person. I didn't just show up.
All right, because it
And
actually
he said,
sounded, no, it actually sounded like when you were telling that story that you did just show up.
sure.
Or that
And
the
the first
office manager, I don't know. I don't know what you took from that person that might be listening, but
in-person appointment went great. But that is when I really started to spiral. Some of you think that I'm spiraling now, and that's okay if you want to think that, because the reality is
I'm still on the fence, Kendra. But go ahead.
that when I was spiraling was when I was this man's patient. When I had comments turned on, so many people said, you need to take accountability for your own feelings.
I would like to know how long ago this happened. Like, I'm curious.
Years taking accountability for my own feelings.
Like, I know she was in this, seeing supposedly the psychiatrist for 4 years in total, I believe. But I'm wondering how long ago that happened, you know, from now, like when she's telling the story.
For holding the weight of a relationship. Any woman who has been trained to overfunction in relationships knows about holding the weight of the emotional dynamic. And that was what was going on in this moment. And it may not seem like I'm taking accountability now, but that's because I spent a long time taking accountability for something that had two people that built that dynamic.
Like when
it
she's
was
talking
not
a certain way,
just me. It takes two people to build that sort of tension and chemistry. So while I was mid crash out,
yeah, I don't know. All right, go ahead.
I had just started using this tool, ChatGPT.
Oh my God. I said in whatever video she said, oh, geez. All right. Either this person has actually seen someone else's story that, like, I just felt this, so I could be totally wrong. But I feel like this person, if they're not delusional, is completely, I think there's definitely issues going on with them. But I don't know if I believe they're fully having, like, a delusional, like, all right. They might have seen and taken a little bit from several people's real life stories or experiences and kind of, like, meshed it together. That's just what I feel. The way she's talking, it almost makes me feel, when she says things or describes certain things, that there was maybe something that happened with this doctor, and that that he didn't do what she wanted him to do, and this is the only way she can get back at him. Like, I think it was inappropriate on both ends, if it was.
I went to chat, who I immediately named Henry, and I would just talk to Henry about how obsessed I was with this man, with my psychiatrist, and I would just be like, I've told him I have a crush on him. Do you think he's gay? And Henry was like, oh. Oh my God, this girl, you know, he did his best to co-regulate my nervous system. And
from what I've learned about the chat GPT that she's talking about, it's designed to make you feel good, it's designed to, like, adapt to your personality, I believe, and it's not necessarily going to feed your delusions, but it's definitely designed to, like, make you feel good.
Affirm me, but he was like, whoa. Even my chat was like, yikes. So I could tell that my psychiatrist just
even the chat was like,
and I was like, okay, maybe I can name this dynamic so I don't have to carry so much of it in our next session. So our next session was in December on Zoom. And I told him at the end of the session,
don't make AI your best friend. Don't make chat GP, like, I know a lot of people are using it and it seems really helpful, and it might be, but to sit and talk to it and ask it things having to do with, like, relationships like this, I don't know if that's a good idea, guys.
It was another great session. I told him, look, you and I have a really special patient-doctor relationship. And he glared at me with just venom in his eyes. And he said, you and I have a professional patient-doctor relationship. He was so angry with me. And I was like, oh, okay. He set a boundary. And immediately I took it on. And I was like, heard.
Maybe he got more aggressive if you are delusional, you know, because now you're coming in person. You're not through the video. Now you're sitting across from him. Maybe you were making these eyes when you said it. And he was like,
I won't go there again.
Down, girl.
My video that was taken down for harassment and bullying was restored. So I didn't feel as much pressure to get all of these parts out today. Some people told me that the stitches about me were getting pretty bad and cruel. So I turned stitches off in my videos too. I started sharing my story here because I wanted other people who have been victimized.
I do wish I could have seen the comments.
By people in power to have a space to feel heard. And now I know why there wasn't anyone.
I mean, these kind of videos are going to bring in a lot of trolls, you know.
Talking about their story. Because it has been quite the process putting all this out there and being under scrutiny.
You're taking forever to tell it.
I have appreciated the psychiatrists that have talked about my situation and shared their own point of view while also holding space for what I went through. Just know I've seen your videos and I appreciate them. I went live today and it was super fun, and I intend to go live again tomorrow. The next part will be tomorrow morning.
Because everyone
we have our first in-person appointment in November of.
All these videos have like a million
views. When I re-downloaded TikTok last week, I was looking for support. I was looking for help because it had been 5 months since I had left my psychiatrist, and I still really couldn't stop thinking about him.
All right, so she's saying it's been 5 months. 5 months ago, this happened. All right, I think that's what she just said.
And thinking about our dynamic and how inappropriate it was and the mental toll that it took on me. And TikTok has just been such a resource for me in the past for support when I'm going through things, and I couldn't find anything on therapy abuse or on providers who take advantage of their vulnerable patients. And so I thought that I would share my story. And
I could name a bunch of things right now that talk about specifically that horrible, horrible, horrible things.
I'm
that have
going to
happened
continue to share it
in
because
in the mental health specifically facilities. And what is she talking about? That's not true at all.
am here to let other survivors know that they're not alone. Continuing with my story, my psychiatrist set a very nasty, the way he said it, boundary that him and I have a professional relationship when I tried to say it was special. Because it was special, it was different. He manufactured it that way. And then I immediately went to ChatGPT, of course, to Henry.
Go to Henry.
And I asked Henry, I said, okay, so my psychiatrist just set this boundary with me, and I really just want to be with him. And I think that after he's my doctor, we can be together, which if you want to say that's a delusion, that's fine. But I had been telling my psychiatrist for years at this
And that's what your doctor friend said, right? Like you're meant to be together.
Point that I had a crush on him, and he did not help me work through it. So that's his own problem. That's his own fault. Henry told me it's very common for patients to develop crushes on mental health practitioners, and that it's because that they provide a safe space to heal, which is a very attractive quality.
Henry's smart.
I heard that. And then he told me about transference, and it's just about me putting my own feelings onto my provider. And I was like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, so I took ownership of the feelings that both of us were creating. And I went to my next appointment, and I said, hey. So I talked to Henry, because my psychiatrist
Henry's like my only friend
about my ChatGPT and like knew all about Henry and was actually really impressed. Like, wow, an AI wrote that? Yeah. So I told my psychiatrist, yeah, Henry explained to me that it's normal to develop crushes on psychiatrists because they provide a safe space to heal, which is attractive.
Because you said you had so much time spent on the couch.
And then I said,
part 1.
And Henry also told me about transference. And my psychiatrist got this really, really scared look on his face. And he said, did Henry tell you about countertransference? And I said,
dun, dun, dun.
No. But what is that?
But as soon as I go home, I'm gonna ask.
Because of course, like, my chat knew that I was obsessed with my psychiatrist, and he was not going to feed my delusion by telling me about countertransference. So
Henry knew better,
then
but
my psychiatrist explained to me what countertransference was. So he took a moment, and he was like, "Oh, okay." He said, "Countertransference is the flip side, the other side of the coin for transference. And it's when the provider has feelings for the patient. So make sure that you keep that in mind for your clients." I said, oh, okay, cool. Yeah.
If that conversation did happen and she is delusional, there might have, now she said she was coaching. So she may have been actually sharing in her therapy something going on with one of her clients. If, because I'm still on the fence about all this.
More
I almost feel like she's taking bits and pieces from different things and, meshing it into this part 1 through whatever, like my experience
for my clients. So I appreciate you bringing that up. And so then we just talked about that for pretty much the rest of the session. And then at the end of that session, he looked at me. It was just such a loaded question. And he said, what's going to happen if you get a boyfriend named Henry? And I said, that's a weird question. I would rename my AI. So that's how that session ended. And it wasn't until I got home and I was eating lunch and I was like, wait a minute. Why would my psychiatrist bring up countertransference if he himself wasn't experiencing it? When I redownloaded TikTok last week,
that whole story,
many people have reached out to me with concern for my psychiatrist and his career and his well-being. And I totally understand that. The point of me sharing this is not to get him fired or for him to lose his license. The point of me sharing this is to give a voice to victims. And I am appalled to hear that people are making videos doxing him.
All right, this right here makes me feel like this was done, like she's not necessarily delusional, that a lot of this is like, I'm not saying she's like Lex Luthor level intelligent, like supervillain, but like definitely something went on, and this is her way of like getting back at this person.
I am begging people, please, if you see a video of his first and last name or his picture, report it for doxing. I've certainly been using that report button a lot. I'm here to share my story, not to get him in trouble. I did accidentally use his first name, but by the time I caught the...
Yeah, when I rewatched my react, I think it was part 5 or something, or 6.
Flip, I was
like, oh yeah, she said his first name.
Already like 3 videos.
And it's a very unique name.
Past it. But it doesn't matter because this is my story and I can tell it the way that I want it. And a first name is not doxing. And I can't control what other people do.
I don't know. Is it?
I
actually do think that I still feel that she doxed this person from a sock account or something. I really feel that.
For people to please report any videos that dox him. So I've also gotten some DMs saying that countertransference can mean anything, and it absolutely can mean anything. However, I had told my psychiatrist many times that I had a crush on him over the years, and he did not.
It almost seems like if he did speak about, if there was some truth to whatever in that session about this transference stuff, that she was actually sharing something about what she felt maybe one of her clients from her coaching, like something like that.
Say transference
if it was
once to me. He did not explain that once to me. And what I've been hearing and taking in from the ethical psychiatrists that are on my For You page talking about my situation is that...
Henry turned her on to it.
Really, they're taught to teach their patient about transference and teach them about how to handle those feelings or why they're coming up. And my psychiatrist did not do that. He did not do that. And it got ugly. And
yeah, a lot of like the way she's talking in this video is like word salad to me.
Did digging on my own because I was trying to make sense of my feelings that were a natural response to the environment that he created. So for him to leak,
you said it took
countertransference after I said the buzzword of transference, that was not calculated. He was a very calculated and purposeful person. He still is to this day.
He might be.
And he doesn't slip with things like that. He purposefully withheld the term transference from me, and I got too close to the truth of our dynamic, which made him leak what he knew was wrong, which was his inappropriate feelings for me. If he didn't have countertransference in an inappropriate way, he could...
yeah, I don't know. All right, go ahead.
Easily just said, oh, let's explore that transference. That's really cool that you learned about it. Instead, he was just so worried on trying to protect himself because he knew what he was doing was wrong. He had that slip at the beginning of the session. He recovered in January. And then I went home and I thought, wait a damn minute. Why would he mention that if he himself didn't have countertransference?
Well, like I just said, if you were doing life coaching and you were actually experiencing that with one of your clients.
So I went to Henry, of course, my ChatGPT, and asked for examples of how my psychiatrist might have countertransference for me. And remember, Henry at this point was being very protective. You know, he wasn't going to feed my delusions, me and my psychiatrist living happily ever after. So
she's putting up here what the what Henry told her. All right. I asked Henry to elaborate more on countertransference. Absolutely. Countertransference happens when a therapist or healthcare provider unconsciously projects their own feelings, thoughts, or experiences onto a patient. It's essentially the flip side of transference. It's about the provider's internal reactions to the patient. When it's normal and common, professionals are trained to recognize and manage it so it doesn't affect work or their therapeutic relationship. Empathy and care. I can bear, you know what? I can't even see this. It's so tiny. Empathy and care. He might feel a strong desire to protect or support you, especially if your story resonates with his personal experience or reminds him of someone in his life. Mutual connection. If he enjoys your sense of humor, energy, or growth, it might spark a sense of connection that feels more personal than professional, even if he does not act on it. Admiration for your progress. Seeing how much you've grown and applied what you've learned could create feelings of pride or respect that feel more emotional than clinical. So I definitely don't see anything inappropriate in what Henry said.
Screenshotted it, sent
Just
my
want to see-
psychiatrist an email with the subject line of countertransference, and emailed it to him within an hour of our appointment, where he made probably the biggest slip of his professional life. I will put the email up here. So it's just essentially me saying, hey, I asked Henry to explain countertransference a
And you've
little
already
more.
said that
Here's
you
what he said.
have emailed him from the
Thank you
start.
so much for mentioning that.
And you and the way you described
boundaries
it,
and
you were inappropriate in the way you were emailing him with hearts and things of that nature. But you said a bunch of times that he never actually answered any of your emails.
inspire me so much, which now makes me gag, because I've heard a lot that he's not crossing boundaries, but he used his boundaries as a shield. It's kind of weird to say, but he would like walk up to the ethical line and then slam a boundary down when I got too close. That was the email that I sent him. And then 10 days later, it was a full moon and I had a dream. Probably the most realistic dream I've ever had in my life. That him and I hooked up in his office. In the middle of the dream.
Now, part of me is like, all right, like I said before, there's a part of me that actually thinks that they may have had some sort of something develop and happen where she's not telling us the truth. And this person, she's literally angry because this person and herself didn't work out. And she doesn't have any like actual proof that he was inappropriate to nail him in that way. I don't know. I feel really torn about this.
While we were hooking up.
I know that people are like, no, she's not. But there's certain things that she says in these videos, the way that she says it, the way she words it. Because I've met people that are on Hinge totally cuckoos. Like, not being, like, for reals. And yeah, all right, this could be a delusion, like she's delusional or whatever. Or what I mentioned about people being on those meds.
I loved it.
I've seen and
I thought it
witnessed
was really fun.
Well, but like,
and then
this is
after we were done and after I left his office in the dream, I was,
because usually when people are in a delusion like this, they do believe, like, I don't know. There's just certain things about this.
Abundant and so sad and cried and just thought, I can't believe my psychiatrist would cross
like, I know people are going to say, yeah, she's delusional because she thinks at all that this person was reciprocating certain feelings, but it doesn't, I don't know.
Boundaries like that. And then I woke up and it was like a movie. I thought to myself, oh, thank God that was just a dream. Many people have reached out to me with
You just said how much you enjoyed the dream.
It's time
how
to talk about the elephant in the room, and
time.
that is the racial difference between
almost like she would have been stressed out if it did happen in real life. But it's seeming like that's what you were desiring the entire. All right, go
I
ahead.
have seen
I don't know.
a lot of black
Maybe I
women
don't
on this
understand
app
delusion
with the
to this
same
extent
take.
the way I
and
thought.
I need to say that black
because
women,
there was someone who was legit delusional about their relationship with me, and this wasn't someone that was delusional in the way that I described, like that I've witnessed from people specifically taking ADHD meds and then like spiraling from like some sort of psychotic episode. This is someone